Hello and welcome to With Walter Anderson. This is a sort of a special episode I wanted to do, and it's about, why do they call someone an Uncle Tom? What does it really mean? And I think in the black community, it's probably one of the most misunderstood terms out there. And the goal of this video is to try to tell you why, at least I think, it's misunderstood and how we got there. There are three pieces of the Uncle Tom story. One is the Josiah HENSON version, the original version. If you don't know who he was, you're gonna know by the end of this video. The second one is the version written by Harriet Beecher Stowe in Uncle Tom's Cabin. And the final version is the version that we see today, which is a little bit different from, from either one of the versions. So what is an Uncle Tom?
To me, an Uncle Tom is somebody, a black man or a black woman who appeases the white man.
Okay. Think about that. What is an Uncle Tom? Give you a second to think. Yeah, and the definition, urban and regular definition, is someone who portrays his culture, social allegiance, a black man considered to be in excess obedience to a white man. So that's what the definition is. Now, we have to go back and look at who was Uncle Tom. Was it fictional? How did this thing get this way? And how did it become negative if it is supposed to be negative? The first beginning of this is going to begin with Josiah HENSON. He was born in 1789. And he was born a slave in Maryland. At the age of 11, he saw his mother molested, and his father stepped in, and he saw his father beaten really badly. He never saw his father again after that. His owner died, and he was sold off with his siblings because of the debt. And as I said, his father was gone out of his life forever. But the one thing his mother taught him was he was very religious. And he was a very, very conscientious hard worker, and became eventually the overseer. And he used his position in a lot of cases to help the black people in the fields. He'd bring them food, he'd bring them water, he'd do that type of thing because he was an overseer. But he always attended church, and he believed in earnest. He had a great connection with religion. He was asked by his owner to bring 22 slaves to Kentucky to his brother's house one day, and this is a conscientious man, and he actually did it. And as he was on the way with the slaves, he went to Ohio. Now, if you know anything about history back then, Ohio was a free state. So he had an opportunity, Josiah HENSON, this is the true story of who the Uncle Tom character came from. Josiah HENSON decided to bring them to Kentucky and continued the trip. When he got there, he was told that there was really a routine that they wanted him to go south to Louisiana, where in their minds really they were planning on selling him. And for whatever reason, he got on the boat. He went down the Mississippi River toward New Orleans, and he had an opportunity to kill the people in the boat, and he didn't do it. He went to New Orleans, and while he was there, his owner got sick, and he nourished his owner, brought him back to Maryland. But I should note that was not the first time he'd seen his owner. He had seen his owner another time in between when Josiah HENSON became a preacher. But I don't want to go back on that, but let's just stay where we are. He just, at that point, Josiah decided that he had to escape. So he, on his way back, he met his family in Kentucky, and he took his family north, and they headed to Canada. And they arrived in Canada, and I'm going to leave the story there for one moment. So you had this man who was highly religious, very dedicated man, a very thorough man, hardworking man. Now I want to go to the story of Uncle Tom as characterized by Harriet Beecher Stowe in her book. This Uncle Tom, let me say that first of all, Harriet Beecher Stowe's book, Uncle Tom's Cabin, was the second highest selling book in the 19th century. It sold the only book that sold more copies was the Bible. Abraham Lincoln, when he met Harriet Beecher Stowe, the writer of the book, he said, "Oh, so I finally meet the lady who started the war." She admitted in her book that she got the idea of the character Uncle Tom from Josiah HENSON, but it didn't. The characters didn't roll over. To go back for a minute, this is where it really gets kind of weird. For every 2 people who read Uncle Tom's Cabin, there were 5 minstrel shows. And the minstrel shows, I don't know if you ever had a chance to see any of the pictures from the minstrel shows done on blacks and others in that time. What happened eventually is people connected Uncle Tom with the minstrel character, did not connect Uncle Tom with Harriet Beecher Stowe's character, nor did they make the connection with the original Uncle Tom, Josiah HENSON. So now out of this you have a third image. This is the image of someone who's been contrived out of being malicious, and something that's shown 2.5 times more than the book. The minstrel shows, at one time there was 49 minstrel shows running at the same time with caricatures of a different Uncle Tom. Again, different from the other 2 characters. Okay, Josiah HENSON himself, he wrote 3 books. And one he wrote after, one of the books he wrote was called Uncle Tom's Story. So he wrote about his own life. He saved over 100 people in the Underground Railroad. He visited Queen Victoria. And he developed some carpentry out of walnut wood that he brought to Europe. That was a phenomenal piece of work. at the Crystal Palace. He showed them, and people were speechless when they saw the work that he had done. He opened the school for blacks in Canada. He met Frederick Douglass, Martin Delaney. He was an economist in some respect, where he knew about growing items. He understood supply and demand, and also had some military role. So how does a guy, we understand Josiah Henson's piece. We understand Harriet Beecher Stowe's piece. The exception is the minstrel show, and around the 1930s, 1940s, a lot of the black aristocracy, or the upper class blacks, began to use the caricature as we know today as Uncle Tom. That's where the caricature came from, that my son described, that I described by Infopedia and in the Urban Dictionary, as someone beholding, rejecting his or her background for the sake of the white man. I'm going to give you some names of some people who've been called Uncle Tom over the years that I found. Roy Wilkins, Louis Armstrong, Bernard Rustin, Denzel Washington, Martin Luther King, Booker T. Washington, Jackie Robinson, Clarence Thomas, Arthur Ashe, Karl Malone, Floyd Patterson, Joe Frazier, Colin Powell, Ben Johnson, Thomas Sowell, James Farmer, Jay-Z, Morgan Freeman. The list goes on. They've been called Uncle Tom. You know, all I can say is that I hope it does shed some light on how this caricature became so real. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, a like, and please subscribe, and have a great day. Bye.